Hi guys, welcome back to Kirsty's Book Corner. I'm your host, Kirsty Mason, and we're gonna read Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. I have a friend, or a co-worker named Cornelia, but we call her Leah, and she's in Romania. She's from Romania. I wonder when she's gonna come back to Windsor. I hope she comes back soon. But anyway, it's called Chapter 10. But actually, the chapter is called The Lion's Den. So, Chapter 10, The Lion's Den. Oh. I need the light. The Lion's Den. Maggie sat on the bench behind the house. Dustfinger's burnt-out torches were still stuck in the ground beside it. She didn't usually hesitate so long before opening a book, but she was afraid of what was waiting for her inside this one. That was a brand-new feeling. She had never before been afraid of what a book would tell her. Far from it. Usually she was so eager to let it lead her into an undiscovered world, when she had never been to before, that she often started to read at the most unsuitable moment. Both she and Mo often read at breakfast, and as a result he had more than once taken her to school late, and she used to read under the desk at school, too, and late at night in bed, until Mo pulled back the covers and threatened to take all the books out of her room, so that she could get enough sleep for once. Of course, he would never have done such a thing, and he knew she knew he wouldn't. But for a few days after such a threat, she would put her book under her pillow around 9 in the evening and let it go on whispering to her in the dreams, so that Mo could feel he was being a really good father. She wouldn't have put this book under her pillow for fear of what it might whisper to her. For the first time in her life, Maggie wasn't sure that she wanted to enter the world waiting for her between the covers of a book. All the bad things that had happened over the last 3 days seemed to have come out of this book, and perhaps there were only a faint reflection of what still awaited her inside it. All the same, she had to begin. Where else was she to look for Mo? Eleanor was right. There was no point in simply running off at random. She had to look for Mo's trails among the printed letters in Inkheart. That's why it's in italics, because it's actually the title of this book. But she had already hardly opened it at the first page when she heard footsteps behind her. "You'll get sunstroke if you keep on sitting in the full sunlight," said a familiar face. Maggie spun around. Dustfinger made her a bow. Of course, his face wore its usual smile. "Well, what a surprise," he said, leaning over her shoulder and looking at the open book on her lap. "So it's here, after all. You've got it." Maggie was still looking uncomprehensively at his scarred face. How could he stand there acting as if nothing had happened? Where have you been?" she snapped. "Did they take you too? And where's Mo? Where have they taken him?" She couldn't get the words out fast enough, but Dustfinger took his time answering. He exclaimed the bushes all around as if he had never seen anything like them before. He was wearing his coat, although the day was so hot that perspiration stood out in gleaming little beads on his forehead. No, they didn't take me too," he said at last, turning to face Maggie again. "But I saw them drive off with your father. I ran after them, right through the undergrowth. A couple of times I thought I'd break my neck going down that wretched slope, but I got to the gate just in time to see them drive off south. Naturally, I recognized them at once. Capricorn had sent his best men, even Basta with him." Maggie was staring at his lips as if she could make the words out come out of them faster. Did you know where they're taking Mo? Her voice shook with impatience. To Capricorn's village, I think. But I wanted to be sure, said Dustfinger, taking off his coat and draping it over the bench. So I ran after them. I knew it sounded silly to run after a car, he added, when Maggie frowned in disbelief. But I was so furious, it had all been for nothing. My warning you, the three of us coming here. Well, I managed to hitch a lift to the next village. They'd filled up the fuel tank there. 4 men in black, not very friendly, and they hadn't been gone long. So I borrowed a moped, and tried to go on after them. Don't look at me like that. You can set your mind at rest. I took the moped back later. It wasn't particularly fast, but luckily the roads are very, very windy here, and I even eventually saw them again, far down in the valley, while I was still making my way around the bends above them. So then I was sure they were taking your father to Capricorn's headquarters. Not to one of his hideouts farther north, but straight to the lion's den. The lion's den? Title of the chapter. Maggie repeated. Where is it? About 300 kilometers south of here, I'd say. Dustfingers sat down on the bench beside her and blinked as he peered at the sun. Not far from the coast. Once again, he looked at the book still lying on Maggie's lap. Capricorn's not going to be pleased when his men bring him the wrong book, he said. I only hope he doesn't take his disappointment out on your father. But Mo didn't know it was the wrong book. Eleanor swapped them in secret. There they came again, those infuriating tears. Maggie wiped her eyes on her sleeve. Dustfinger wrinkled his eyebrow, looking at her as if he wasn't sure whether to believe her. She says she just wanted to look at it. She had it in her bedroom. Mo knew the secret place where she hidden it. And because the book they took was wrapped in brown paper, he never noticed it was the wrong one. And Capricorn's men didn't check either. Of course not. How could they? Dustfinger's voice was full of scorn. They can't read. One book is just like another to them. Just printed paper. Anyway, they'll used to be given anything they want. Maggie's voice was shrill with fear. You must take me to the village, please. She looked pleadingly at Dustfinger. I'll explain everything to Capricorn and give him the book, and then he'll let go Mo. Let Mo go, all right? Dustfinger blinked at the sun again. Yes, of course, he said without looking at Maggie. That's probably the only solution. But before he could say any more, they heard Eleanor's voice calling from the kitchen. House. Well, what have we have here? She cried, leaning out of the open window. Its pale yellow curtains flapped in the wind as if a ghost were caught in it. If it isn't our friend the matchstick swallower. Maggie jumped up and ran over the lawn toward her. Eleanor, he knows where Mo is, she cried. Does he, indeed? Eleanor leaned on the windowsill and scrutinized Dustfinger through narrow eyes. Put the book down, she snapped at him. Maggie, take the book away from him. Taken aback, Maggie turned around. Dustfinger really was holding Inkheart, but when Maggie looked at him, he quietly put it back down on the bench. Then, with a nasty glance in Eleanor's direction, he beckoned her over. Hastily, Maggie went to him. Yes, all right. I'll take you to your father, even though it may be dangerous for me, whispered Dustfinger when she was beside him. But she stays here, and understood? He slyly nodded his head in Eleanor's direction. Maggie looked uncertainly at the house. Like me to guess what he whispered to you? Called Eleanor across the lawn. Dustfinger cast Maggie a warning glance, but she ignored it. He's going to take me to Mo, she called back. Ah, good idea, called Eleanor, but I'm coming too, even if the pair of you might prefer to do without my company. We certainly might, muttered Dustfinger, smiling guilelessly at Eleanor. But who knows, perhaps we can swap her for your father. I disarray Capricorn could do with another mischievement. I know she's no good at cooking, but perhaps she can do the laundry, even if that's not something you learn from books. Maggie had to laugh, although she couldn't tell from Dustfinger's face if he was joking or meant it seriously. That's a funny chapter. And there is a two-headed person. Alright, so tomorrow is another video where I do 2 chapters in one video because it's such a short chapter. That one was really short. It only took me 11 minutes, but I will do 11 and 12 in one video, just like I did with 7 and 8. So, I will be reading 11 and 12 tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully it's as funny as this last chapter. I think there's a couple funny chapters in this book. I read it before with Hannah, like following Hannah's Hollows. But now I'm doing it myself. And it's funny. Wait until you hear what I think it was Basta. I think it's Basta that says it, but wait until you hear what he calls Dustfinger. It's so funny. Alright. Please subscribe, comment, and like, and if you haven't, turn on the notifications bell to know when I'll be uploading a video, such as tomorrow. And please dare to dream. Bye.